It's nice to meet you in person, dude.
Nice to meet you too, Dan.
I really appreciate you making the time.
Absolutely.
For the Freestyle channel. Well, we obviously don't need a whole lot of introduction, right? People know you from like "Girl, You Hear Me Crying," "Crystal Waters," a bunch of nice, memorable songs, freestyle songs that we all love. But how did NV like land in the middle of the freestyle world? Like how did that all happen?
I think like most artists from my era, we probably didn't set out to make freestyle music. We probably just set out to make our music, you know? But somewhere along the way, we were just all put together in a movement, you know what I'm saying? And we were young and we were all kind of striving for something. So I know that for me, I came at the tail end of what is considered the freestyle movement. So by the time I came up in the maybe early 90s, you know, they had already had a mainstream success. Major labels were already backing them. So I kind of had, I wouldn't say an easier turn because, you know, the world was changing, hip hop was taking over. So we had to kind of solidify ourselves still, even with that market coming in on us. And then radio stations were changing formats. So it was, I wouldn't say it was easy. It was a lot of work getting out there, you know, going from town to town, just like the old days. Now where you had internet, you could hit everybody at the same time. We had to actually drive to a town and perform there and try to get that place, you know, into the movement, what we were doing.
Yeah. So prior to freestyle, did you record anything? Did you have any?
Prior to freestyle, I was an athlete. I had my mind on something completely different, but music has always been in my family. My father was a salsero. Like he sang salsa music. He would come in from his town, from Guanica, Puerto Rico, during the National Puerto Rican Parade. He would perform for his town. So they would go around, you know, to different Puerto Rican parades, and he, you know, showcase his sound. So I had music in my family. Like it was already kind of instilled in me. And then my mom has one of the prettiest voices I've ever heard. It's like I can remember her lullabies to sleep. So I think that she had more of a literal impression on me as far as music and folk music and all these songs that stayed with me through the years. So that stuff formed me before I even became Envy. Like that was just Noel stuff, you know what I mean? Like I wrote songs. Like I wrote a song called Forgotten Love when I was 12. That ended up being some kind of love.
Oh.
It's the same lyrics, everything's there. I wrote I Cant Go On when I was about 16. I wrote Crimes of Love from my high school sweetheart when I was 17. So I've always had music in me, but I didn't look at it seriously. And I had a lot of friends who were in the business, like they were dancing for other artists, they were traveling, doing wonderful stuff at the time, but I wasn't interested in that. I had my mind somewhere else.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it ended up here, which is better, so no complaints.
So how did the first song, what was the first, like I guess what was the first freestyle song that you actually recorded?
The first time we recorded Crimes of Love. Crimes of Love. And I remember writing it, not thinking much of it. I just kind of put it aside. But when I showed it to Tony Garcia and High Power Records, they loved it. And we recorded that thing, not even a week after meeting them.
What's the story of how you linked up with High Power Records? and what was going on at High Power Records at the time? Like what other artists were you there see?
I think that they were in the transitional phase. They were going from their 80s, which was the Ronaldo era, into the 90s, into what would now diversify that label with me and Susie and you know, just trying to changing that whole, you know, narrative of what the label was known for in the 80s. So they didn't have much mainstream success in the 80s, but when we came out in the 90s, we ended up with, you know, getting mainstream. Between me and Susie, we hit top 40 radio, Billboard, and all those other charts. We have videos, and I always felt like if High Power had that support back then, they probably would have had more artists that came up. But unfortunately, they probably didn't have the budget for that, and they didn't have distribution the way they had when we came in. So, you know, that's just how that works. But they were in a state of transition. So it was almost like an opening. Like, at least I've always been the type of person that where you see an issue, I see an opportunity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I see things the same way.
Yeah. Like, I don't see problems. I only see solutions. You know what I'm saying? I have a hard time dealing with people who only have problems, to be honest with you, because I'm like, well, I could solve that, but if you don't want to, then it won't be solved, you know? But I feel like they had a nice little, they had everything they needed. They had the major label distribution, they had money for the budget, they just didn't have artists to pour that into. And that's primarily why I stayed with High Power so long. Tony was really good with mining old 70s dance records. And he had
to this day, right?
Yeah, probably to this day, absolutely. I consider him one of the legends as far as producers in this business. I know people have their own opinion, but hey, I'm a testament to that. And so are the other artists that he had.
Yeah, he just recently, he just recently put out this freestyle album that's all instrumental. It has no vocals.
I like that.
And you know, even though it's like the funky melody kind of rock, it's like he gave it like, when you think it's going in a certain direction, like when you think you've already heard it,
right,
he flips it and then he gives you something new.
I'm very happy to hear that.
It's
very happy.
It's pretty interesting.
I hope that young artists out there coming up will take some of those instrumentals and do something with them.
Right, yeah.
Why not? Sounds great.
So Little Susie came out first, then?
No, we were Crimes of Love, and then I toured. So I redid Just Like the Wind, and we toured Brazil. Wow. I did 32 shows in 28 days. And now you know.
I know Brazil's big on freestyle.
Well, yeah, and the song Just Like the Wind is huge. Yeah. Huge, like gold, platinum, the whole thing. And at the time, the artist that originally sang the song was not working out. I don't know, that's their story, but I know that when I came in, that song needed support, and I re-vocalized it, and they re-released it in '91, around the same time as Crimes of Love. I think both those records came out at the same time. And then I re-recorded it in '94, you know.
So '94 is when you released the album, right?
Yes.
The album. What was the experience of recording that album? Like, how long did it take? Were like, how many people were involved? Like, what were you listening to during that time when the album was being created?
I've always been a Euro pop head. Okay. Like, I love Pet Shop Boys and like Wham, you know, Tears for Fears,
right?
You know, Duran Duran, you know, all that stuff. So I'm not gonna say that was in there, but Some Kind of Love, for example, right, is to me a derivative of Someone to Love by Depeche Mode. I don't know if you ever heard that. I want somebody to. It's almost, ideally, the narrative, the themes are the same. It's just my version of it is a little more popified. You know what I'm saying? That's all that is.
A little bit more modern.
Yeah. So I love music, dude. I could listen to Mozart or Elvis. It doesn't really matter. Like, all that stuff is like grand to me. So for me, I wanted to make sure that my sentiments were on the album. So I ended up writing over half of it, actually. And then the other half was curated, but great producers. You know, the Julian Hernandez, who did background vocals for me and for Susie and for Wicked and so many other artists. We work with, Tony did most of the music, and then later on, he adopted Elvin Molina into High Power Records, and they did remixes of the Crystal Waters records and all those records, which I thought were amazing. And those were on the High Power Records Greatest Hits albums. Right. So really, really good music. I mean, I can't, you know, if it makes me move, I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
So the Little Susie comes out, then your album comes out, and
right around, yeah, because at that point we had Warlock. So when we got Warlock distribution, they went full on. They're the ones who did the videos and the albums, and you know, they went with the, you know, pictures everywhere and putting us out there. You know, Diana Lemchak, great A&R director.
there was a bunch of compilations that were coming out at the time in between that too, right?
Yeah.
Those greatest hits.
Yeah, and then he also did one with a DJ where he kind of mixed all the music together. That one was really popular as well. It was like a big High Power Records mix with all the records kind of mixed together, like as a DJ kind of.
Oh, yeah. It had like a green album cover.
Yeah.
And at which point in time, was there like a second record that was planned out? Like,
yeah, well, the follow-up, the funny thing about that is that the follow-up for that would have been I Can't Go On, and we were going to put that in a single. But then I think that, again...
that's on the album though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they wanted it, you know how back then they would take a song and they'd make like 5 different versions of it, put it on on wax and say that's the new single.
Yeah.
So my perspective of that is that I feel like High Power wanted to have more of a lineup than just me and say Susie, right? So because you learn from other artists failing you, I guess. That this is like what I would hear. Like, oh, we can't count on these people, blah, 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 blah. So I think that they wanted to diversify it and open it up more. So some of these songs were gifted to other artists.
Got it. I understand. I see. That's where all these compilations started coming out.
Right. Like the follow-up for me would have been I Want You for me. But I Want You was given to Wicked as a follow-up because he didn't have anything at the time. But if that song was given to me the way it was, I think that it would have just extended the Girl You Hear Me Crying push into another level. You know what I'm saying? So, and then we ended up getting there with Crystal Waters regardless. So.
Yeah. So, but Crystal Water, the lead cut on that was Fantasy Love, right?
Yes.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest.
Ain't that something?
Yeah. So hold on.
So if you remember right, that's the second time that happened because Love, the Take Me in Your Arms is the B-side. Just like Crystal Waters is the B-side. The A-side is Love
Can't Wait
for Too Long.
Yeah.
That's it. That was supposed to be the hit record. That's the one that everybody put their money on. Okay? Take Me in Your Arms was a throwaway. And that's crazy. That became probably one of the biggest freestyle songs ever.
Right. That was probably like Spring Love or
yeah.
So I remember and I was just about to tell you actually that I recently got back in, like I was away from the freestyle scene for like
Me too.
a bunch of years.
You got to take a break.
I recently got, started revisiting a lot of this stuff, and Fantasy Love was the first thing when Amazon started selling music. It was the first thing that I bought because I had heard it in San Jose. We had this place called the San Jose Flea Market, and they used to sell a lot of bootleg mix CDs, and I heard it on there, and I said, hey, this is not on the album. I can't find it in the store. So I went on Amazon because they had just announced that they started selling music, and sure enough, it was there for order. It took like 2 weeks to get there.
Nice.
But what I was going to tell you is that I recently revisited that song, and I'm not now looking retrospectively. That's a good song.
Yeah, I've been blessed. I think my catalog is, I'm going to use a word I don't really use, and I think it's unparalleled. We're talking Just Like the Wind, The Way She Looks at Me. Those are just, those are originally someone else's.
Yeah.
Those I did the remix on those, the remake. Then we go Girl Hear Me Crying, Crystal Waters, Fantasy Love, I Can't Go On. I mean, and we're not even at to the new stuff, which I think I love my new stuff, like My Heart Is and Gone for Good. Like, those songs are so NV. Like, they would have fit in my catalog back then.
Yeah, You Don't Know.
You Don't Know.
That's a great song too.
Yeah, and that's such an NV song, even English or Spanish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's I wouldn't have come back if I didn't have something to say. I wouldn't have come back if I didn't have something to offer. I wouldn't keep doing this if I didn't have something to offer.
And you recently just put out like a salsa song. How does that fit into the NV persona world?
Yeah, well, it's dance music.
Right.
I'm gonna keep them hips moving and booty shaking.
Yeah.
One way or another. You know what I'm saying? For me, it was such I'll be honest with you. I think it was seamless transition. And I didn't expect it to be. Like, I've had friends who have been on top of me for years to do this. And they've worked with other artists, and I've told them, go do this, go do that. And they finally came back, and when they said, hey, let's do this, and then they let me hear it, I was like, oh my God. I went to meet them to write a song for another artist. So I was completely uncommitted to this project, okay? I was working on it for somebody else because I can separate myself and go, okay, you know what, I've got some talent with the pen. Let me put these skills to work. And I went there for that, and when they let me hear that, and the guy sang the song, and he said, this is what you're doing, I was like, oh, we're doing this. I'm doing this. And then from then on, we did another one, and another one. Now we're up to like...
So you have two parallel NVs going on at the same time, right?
Well, that's Noel Valei.
Okay.
I kind of be specific, that way it's easier for me to separate the two.
Yeah, right. The marketing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's okay, so, but you have some more salsa coming out.
Yes.
And
more freestyle.
And more freestyle.
We're not letting that go.
Okay.
That's who I am. Everybody knows NV for that. And I'm not gonna be one of these people that does one genre and leaves the other one hanging. We're doing it all.
That's cool.
You know, that's the only way to do it.
And so so Fantasy Love / Crystal Waters comes out, and then what happened with NV after that?
Well, that would have been around the second album time.
I was expecting a follow-up.
Yeah, well, we were working on it. We were working on it, definitely. But we had a falling out. And I'll be honest with you, at that time, I was heading to college, and I was educating myself in a way that I don't think music was in my peripheral. I wasn't even, you know what I'm saying? So I wasn't looking for a way out of the contract, but I was kind of trying to find a way out of it completely. And I just started living another life, you know what I'm saying? I always thought about NV, but I never thought that the world thought about him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then somewhere along, I would say it was around 2008. Yeah, around 2008, I get a call from a friend, and he's like, hey, are you interested in, ever picking this up again? And I was like, no, I don't see that happening. Like, I own my own businesses. I have my mind completely somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, well, I think people want to see you. And that's all it takes.
He was like, I don't care what you think.
Right. Well, because he knows I'm a people pleaser. I do want to, look, the easiest thing for me to do is to perform, even though it seems hard for other people. I love that part of this. Mm-hmm. That's why the salsa is so awesome, because now I have a live band behind me, and now everybody gets to feel this vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that part of this is a gift for me. The performing part of this, where I get to come and do my thing for the crowd and get them to help me, relate. We're gonna have this moment. We're gonna share this moment together. My job here is singular. It's just like a DJ. Y'all came here with your bad times, your bad moods, and whatever's going on in your life. It's my job to turn that stuff around, okay? I am pure entertainment. This is show business. Right. You come here for me to change that, right? It's escapism at its best. You come and I make you feel better about your day. You leave here, you go, oh my God, that guy is great. He made me forget about my problems. That's our job. It's not for me to go on stage and give a political speech or tell you how I feel today. I mean, you came here to feel better, not to feel bad. Right. Like, everybody knows life is hard. My job is easy. Let me make you feel better, okay? That's the part that I came back for. I came back for the fans. Cool. It's easy. When you come back for the right reason, when you do things for the right reasons, it's not work. It's a pleasure. You know what I'm saying? And when I perform, dude, and I look out there and I see their faces and people singing along, or when they teach their kids my songs, oh my God, there's no greater blessing than that, dude. That's magic right there, And I have every show, I'll see a young buck out there singing every word, and right next to him is his father who taught him. And I'll give them shirts, hats, whatever I got, because I'm famous for giving away merch. Yeah. I don't sell it, I give it away. You know what I'm saying?
By the way, thank you for the shirt.
I got you. You tell me what you want, I got you. But I feel like my fans and everybody who listens to this music has done enough. They've given everything they can. Now it's our turn.